It is my pleasure to welcome Cleveland State University's president, Dr. Laura Bloomberg, to give a few words. Please join me in welcoming her.
Thank you. You want to come down? Good morning, everybody. I am so delighted to welcome you to campus and to here in the Wolstein Center. Before I forget, let me just tell you, you are welcome to come back anytime this fall when we start playing basketball on this floor. It's a pretty exciting time. The games are all posted, so check them out and come back. But that's not the purpose for being here today. This inaugural Housing Expo is so aligned with what we believe is the purpose of Cleveland State University in this community, in this broad region. We talk often about how the city is our campus, and when the city rises, Cleveland State University rises. So when the Congresswoman said she wanted to host this Housing Expo here on campus, I was delighted, and our campus community was delighted. As I was walking in today, I talked with a number of you, and I heard stories about your own CSU connections. So I just have to ask, how many of you have a degree or more, or kids with degrees from Cleveland State? Look at that. We are Cleveland State. I'm so glad that you're here. You know that our mission is to serve this region with our research, with our education, and with our service to the community. You are a part of that, and that's so central to who we are. Just recently, I was speaking about our health clinics that we offer, our speech and hearing clinics, the work that we're doing around housing in our Levin College of Public Affairs and Education. And again, before the expo started this morning, the Congresswoman and I were saying that when we think about education, as we think about building stability in a community and building wealth and stability in families, and we talk about housing as a way of building health and wealth and stability, those two are linked. And I'm eager to think about how we continue to link that going forward in the work that we're doing around making sure that every one of our neighbors has a stable home and every one of our neighbors has access to the education they want to fulfill their dreams. So again, welcome to this place. I hope you feel like it's your place. I hope you feel welcomed and hosted and supported in the work that you're going to be doing today. And now it's my great privilege to introduce Congresswoman Shontel Brown to you. You know that the Congresswoman represents us in the 11th Congressional District for the state of Ohio. She has been a city councilwoman in Warrensville Heights. She has been a county council person for Cuyahoga County. So she's a Clevelander through and through, and she knows this community so well. In Congress, I do have to look at this because the list is long. She is a member of the House Agricultural Committee. She is a member of the Subcommittee on Nutrition, Foreign Agriculture, and Horticulture, and she is the ranking member on the Subcommittee on General Farm Commodities, Risk Management, and Credit. Have you been a little busy? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Congresswoman Shontel Brown.
Oh, please be seated. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bloomberg, and thank you, Cleveland State, for hosting us. Now, I have to ask you all to do me a favor. This is a house party, right? But today is also DJ Low-Key's birthday. So can we all just wish DJ Low-Key a happy birthday on the count of three? We're going to say happy birthday, DJ Low-Key. 1, 2, 3. I appreciate him showing up today on his birthday, working, because he recognizes that this is an important issue. And I also appreciate all the ways that everyone at Cleveland State works to serve our wider community. Thank you to all the amazing organizations, panelists, and staff who are here with us Saturday morning. You could be anywhere, and I'm so grateful that you decided to be here with us. Housing issues can be urgent, complicated, and complex, and I'm grateful for all of the work that you do. I also want to thank my staff for organizing this event. I get the credit, but my staff really does the work. Can we give my entire staff, locally and from DC, they're all here today, which is a unique situation, but again, speaks to how important this issue is. That includes our leadership team, our legislative team, and people that do casework and outreach here locally. We have an amazing team, so if you have questions throughout the day, please connect with them because they can help. Finally, I want to thank all of you in the audience for joining us today. I'm so proud to represent our community and to do work for you in Congress. I hope that you find today's expo helpful. Whether you're a renter or someone who needs affordable housing, a first-time home buyer, or someone looking to sell or renovate, today is about making sure you have all the resources and tools you need. And in a few moments, we're going to have a brief panel with our experts from HUD, CMHA, and the Housing Counseling Agency and Key Bank. But before we start the panel, I want to say a few words about housing. Having served in local government, I know that when you have this many people show up on a Saturday morning, it means there is a lot of work to be done. And that is definitely the case with housing, which has become one of the biggest issues facing this country. Nationwide, we have a housing shortage of at least 4 million units. And when there's a shortage, prices go up and affordability goes down. The average age of a first-time home buyer is now 36 years old compared to age 29 in 1981. And too many people are locked out of the housing market. The Black home ownership rate is 30% lower than it is for whites. Just 44% Black households are homeowners. That's lower than it was back in 2000. That's why the leadership of the Biden-Harris administration, including former Housing Secretary Fudge, has been so important. Can we give it up for my predecessor? The administration has put a renewed emphasis on enforcing fair housing laws. And I want to shout out the Legal Aid Society of Cleveland, who is also here. Let's give them some love. If you are being discriminated against, contact them and contact my office. The administration has also expanded the number of HUD-backed mortgages for Black borrowers. Since 2021, 250,000 Black homeowners have bought a home using a federal FHA mortgage. And the White House has stressed the importance of clearing away the red tape that gets in the way of building more housing. And it has directed federal agencies to prioritize grant projects that incorporate housing. But I also mentioned, I realize that there's more work to do. I'm proud to co-sponsor 3 important bills to make housing more affordable. The first is the Home Investment Partnership Act, which would increase funding for affordable housing and assistance programs. The second is the Home of Your Own Act, which creates a new grant program to provide $30,000 grants to eligible home buyers. And the third is the HELPER Act, which creates a new federal home loan program for teachers, law enforcement, and first responders. Do we have any of you in the house? All right. So the people that serve our community can put down roots in our community. But housing is just not about homeowners. We need to expand federal programs for affordable housing and public housing, housing vouchers, and assistance for people that are unhoused. These are the battles I will fight every time. But that's the big picture. This expo is also about what's happening here locally and what's available right now. And I want to make sure that the people here can take advantage of the programs that are already in place. We have our tables available around the room, and we'll also have some breakout sessions on specific topics, including federal programs, property taxes, and financing. So I want to thank you again for being here. I look forward to working together to build a future where every family has a place to call home. And now I am delighted to call up our panelists, Kevin Laviano, Kevin Laviano from HUD. Please come up. Jeffrey Patterson from CMHA. Lydia Pope from the Housing Counseling Agency. And my good friend who is celebrating her wedding anniversary today, Chanel Smith from Key Bank. Let's wish her a happy anniversary. Okay. Ma'am. Thank you all. I'm excited to get into this conversation today and talk about this issue of around housing. So before we dive into the discussion, I'd like to start by having each of you introduce yourselves and briefly share your role with the organization that you have, that you work in today, and the supportive perspective as it relates to current homeowners. And we'll start with you because it's your anniversary.
Thank you. So not only today is my anniversary, it's also my wedding anniversary, but also my anniversary at Key Bank. So I've been first of all, thank you, Congresswoman, for your vision around not only housing, but also improving our community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. But I've been at Key Bank for 4 years, and my role is National Community Engagement Director at the bank. And that really means that I am the bridge between the community and the bank. And so I work with every line of business from home lending to affordable housing to make sure that we have the right products and services to serve low to moderate income communities and meet our regulatory obligations at the bank. And so I came to the bank after spending most of my career as an environmental organizer. That's where the Congresswoman and I had a chance to meet when I was at the county working on sustainability issues, and she was a county councilwoman. So I get to be a little, an organizer in the bank, but I also have that finance background and experience. So it's a good time every day at the bank.
Mr. Patterson.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Patterson. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority. I've been at the Housing Authority for a number of years. Enjoy the work I do. Very appreciative to the Congresswoman for the support that she's given us as we work to try to provide affordable housing opportunities across Cuyahoga County. I was born and raised in Cleveland, grew up in Glenville area off 105. So it's just important for us to continue to find those ways to get people housing and get people not only housing, but good housing.
Ms. Pope.
Good morning. My name is Lydia Pope. I'm with NID Housing Agency. First and foremost, I'm the past president of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which focuses on Black housing in America, the largest and oldest African-American real estate trade in this country. But as a housing counseling agency, I have an office here in Cleveland, and we also have an office in Detroit, Michigan. And what I do as a branch manager is really focusing on the main important thing, that's raising the bar on Black housing. So we support our Congresswoman in all that she's doing when it comes to Black housing and housing in general. And we do have all the services from home buying, rental, credit, especially mortgage delinquency. We are working with the state of Ohio, Ohio Housing Finance with a lot of the programs. And we're here to just service our community. So thank you.
And Mr. Laviano?
Thank you, Congresswoman. My name is Kevin Laviano. I'm the field office director here for the Cleveland Field Office. I want to thank Congresswoman for having us here today. We need more house parties and housing expos. We need to get the message out. I've been with HUD for 35 years. I'm born and raised here in Cleveland, went to Cleveland State for a while here, and I taught homeownership classes here in the inner city Cleveland when I first started for HUD, and help folks, especially single mothers with children, go from public housing to home ownership. And I taught the home ownership class for FHA, and it was a very powerful, moving process to see people have hope that they can move from public housing to home ownership with the right education, the right tools, and the right support from the federal and local government agencies. I also now, as a field office, I used to be the public housing director, and now I'm the field office director. So I cover all of the services for HUD that impact many of our communities. So if you have any questions, you contact our office. We're the conduit to make sure that the federal government is working for you, and so you can have confidence in your local jurisdiction that we're here to serve your constituents. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. So we're going to stick with you because the first question that I have is, how is HUD working to ensure that affordable housing is accessible to those who need it most, particularly in underserved communities? And then the second part is, can you share any new HUD initiatives or programs aimed at helping first-time home buyers navigate the complexities of securing financing and affordable housing?
So there's a lot there.
Yes.
But let me start by saying we are making a concerted effort. I've been the field office director in Cleveland now for about a year. I worked in D.C. For our real estate assessment center for 7 years, redesigning our inspection program for the voucher program and for our multifamily and public housing affordable units. We redesigned that program to make sure that the units that have affordable housing are healthy and safe. We turned the paradigm around to make sure that instead of looking from the outside in, so they look nice on the outside, but the units that our residents are living in were not so good, we have turned that paradigm around, that our scoring and our methodology of inspecting units are impacting you where you live, where your families live, how we can make them decent, safe, sanitary, that you can enjoy the living environment that your family lives in. It's a learning process for all of us because we turned that paradigm upside down. So what we've done, just not in the home ownership, I'll get to that in a moment, but in affordable housing in general, we're getting that message out here in Northern Ohio. We've done a lot of trainings. We want to educate folks. We're meeting with the cities and having conversations with the cities here in the city of Cleveland, Akron, Canton. We are meeting with them and saying, this is what HUD does. These are our services. If you have questions, how can we help you as a federal government? We have lots of funding, and we have lots of technical assistance. So to answer your question to how we're trying to make an impact for low-income folks that want to move up and out, we are trying to get the message out locally and working with our partners like CMHA to develop new programs. We just talked in the back about the redevelopment of Wood Hill. And Jeff and I talked about this yesterday. We were just at a grand opening for the phase 2 of Wood Hill. It is amazing when government partners get together and collaborate, how we can transform a neighborhood. So 15 years ago, I was working with Jeff and the team, and Wood Hill needed a lot of help. And they got themselves a HUD grant, the Choice Neighborhood Grant, and it's making an impact in Wood Hill. We are tearing down old public housing, 1930s housing, barrack-style housing, and if you get a chance, drive down there and look at the wonderful housing that CMHA, the City of Cleveland, the State of Ohio, the U.S. Department of HUD, and other partners are making a difference. And that affordable housing will transform the rest of the neighborhood where we can get good homeownership housing to surround that. Because now people are going to have stores to shop at. There's going to be more community investment in that area. So it takes all of us to partner. It takes all of us to have commitments, and the residents there we're extremely happy with the first 2 phases, and it's a wonderful to see that development and that community expand and be healthy. One more thing I want to say about that. It was amazing, the statistics that the Woodhill development was, the statistics were that the folks that lived in Woodhill had the least life expectancy in Cuyahoga County because of the living conditions there. So this transformation is important, and it provides folks hope. Now let's go to the homeownership real quick, and then I'll pass it on.
This is what we're here for, so please.
Homeownership, FHA has 7.5 million mortgages throughout the country. Out of the 7.5 million mortgages, last year in 2023, 82% of those mortgages went to first-time home buyers. So because we have less credit requirements, credit score requirements, we give you opportunities, less down payment assistance, we allow you to use
Kevin, can you just talk about the credit requirements? Can you give a little more detail? Because I know renters payments, and can you just lean in? Yeah, go.
Excellent question. So you can get an FHA insured mortgage with a credit score of 580 and above. So 580 is that base. That means you could get a 3.5% down payment on your mortgage using FHA mortgage, which traditionally a lot of conventional loans are about 5%. So you're going to get a 3.5% down payment with a 580 credit score. There are opportunities if your credit score is between 500 and 580. There's some work that needs to be done, but you can still get it, and you may have to put a little more down than the 3.5%. But we have programs that can supplement that. The state of Ohio has some. We have some locally, and I'm sure our partners here and our housing counseling agencies can help you with that as well. So that's one advantage of getting first-time home buyers that have some credit issues to get into home ownership. The other thing is how we evaluate your debt. Okay, so you can have a little bit more debt on the housing side. It's a little bit technical. I'll say you can have 32%, I believe it is, on your housing ratio, which is your housing expenses for your mortgage. We're traditionally, and I think in a conventional mortgage is about 29 or 28 for your housing ratio. And then on the total debt, that means if you have a student loan, a car payment, or including your housing payments, will allow you to have about 43% debt. So that gives you a little bit more flexibility to get into the home ownership as using an FHA mortgage. So these are the things that we incentivize for first-time home buyers, more flexibility, because the federal government insures that mortgage to the lender. So that gives the lender a little bit more flexibility in doing the lending based on our thing, because there's less risk on their side because we're going to insure it. Does that answer your question on that side?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, again, the people here want to know, get into some of the details, so that is very helpful. So thank you.
You're welcome. And one more thing I'll just say about it. FHA has many education programs that are online. If you go to our table, my friend and my employee, Chase, will be glad to give you the information that you need. He's a great guy. And we also have our housing counseling agencies here. We have 10 of them in the city of Cleveland. They're funded by HUD, and they do a wonderful job that you can come in, get your credit score checked. They'll help you with correcting your credit. They'll help you navigate through the education process. I think you indicate, I won't steal your thunder, but probably you got some education coming up soon. And also, if you are a homeowner and you run into problems, they can help you with loss mitigation. So we don't want you to lose your home once you get it. We want you to enjoy your home, and if you run into a problem, we have safety nets that we fund in the city of Cleveland. We'll refer you to our housing counseling agencies, and they have all kinds of tools that can help with FHA lending. And FHA loans have a little bit more loss mitigation opportunities for you to save your home than conventional. So I'm going to turn it over to our other wonderful guests here, but I hope that helps you out with your questions here.
Thank you, Kevin. So you mentioned Jeff, so I'm gonna bring you in, Jeff, because CMHA is so critical to the city and housing. And I just want to know what steps CMHA is taking to address housing needs of Cleveland's most vulnerable populations, especially in the light of recent economic challenges.
Good morning again. So I'm going to start off by just taking a slight detour. It's kind of like deja vu for me. Yesterday I called Kevin to ask him one question. An hour later, I was off the phone because he had so many different things that he said, I've been meaning to talk to you about this. I wanted to talk to you about that. but that's what collaboration and partnership is all about. And when you have good partners like we have in HUD, you are able to find different ways to do things and to help things. So I appreciate Kevin, and I appreciate the work that they've done. And the work that Secretary Fudge did while she was at HUD was outstanding. Her contributions, her leadership, her voice in the room was all things that we as housing authorities needed in terms of that leadership. I want to say, too, that I'll give you a picture of CMHA. So we are the 7th largest housing authority in the nation. We are the oldest housing authority in the nation, going back to 1933. We have over 60 developments. We have about 10,500 affordable housing units. We have another 15,600 housing choice vouchers. So combined across Cuyahoga County, we service over 50,000 people across the county. So when you look at providing that type of service, you look at the range of people that you're serving. So we could serve families, who have children, and we have to find ways to accommodate the housing for that. We have seniors who no longer want to own homes or who want to live in a different type of community. That we're also providing homes for that. We have veterans that are in need of housing. We have people who have worked many years and don't want to have the responsibility of a home. We have other people that are trying to start their futures, start their lives, and need CMHA as a foundation to be able to do that. We try to provide all the housing opportunities that we can through partnerships, collaborations, to try to make sure that people can have those opportunities. So often you will hear people talk about, well, I grew up, since we talked about, well, I grew up in Morris Black. And Morris Black was where I grew up, and I did this and I did that. And it was truly a moment for a lot of those individuals to see the improvements that were going on there and to see those buildings coming down. But over the last 10 to 15 years, there's been progress. There's been the demolition of Valley View Homes, which is now Tremont Point. There's been the revitalization of Garden Valley, which is now Heritage View Homes. There's been a revitalization of Riverside Park, which some people refer to as the Rock on the west side, out by the airport. There's a revitalization of Cedar Extension, where you see new housing developments on what's called Sankofa Village. And then there's Woodhill. And we've done some things over at Carver Park as well. But I just listed off about 5 or 6 different sites. And we still have Lakeview. We still have Outhwaite. We still have Old Cedar. And those are places that have some significant needs as well. And those are the things that we have to continue to kind of plot along to do. And when the Congresswoman talked about, housing and talked about the need, while some of these housing units may be old and some of them may not be the best for everything, in a lot of instances, we have to try to do what we can to keep them there because there's not any opportunities for a lot of people to be able to go. That's where funding, that's where commitment, that's where partnership all comes together, because it's not a good thing to have people not have housing opportunity. That is the thing that provides you stability. If you have a place to lay your head, and you have a place for your family to be safe with a roof over your head, the other challenges that you have are still challenges, but you have a shot. When you don't have that as your base, it's hard. And through some of the programs that HUD provides, like the Family Self-Sufficiency Program, programs to kind of partnerships with Tri-C and other Cleveland State and other institutions to try to help people be able to get GEDs and further themselves in education and things like that, learning about home ownership, getting ready to buy a home. It is a process to buying a home. You don't just wake up one morning and say, hey, I'm doing this, and it just goes. You have to prepare yourself, and a lot of times it takes a lot of steps to be able to do that. And for some people, that's their goal. For others, it's not. But for us, it's to try to meet people where they are and try to provide them what we can do. Are we perfect? Far from it. But we have a committed group of individuals that want to try to do that. And there are a lot of people who have been able to move on because of a lot of the work that a lot of people do. One final thing I want to say is that there's a development that we partnered with several years ago. And it was an intergenerational housing development. And it was for a housing development for seniors who have legal custody of their grandchildren. And I think, what you now see through vouchers and things like that is the opportunity for us to provide purpose-placed housing where you look at serving individuals based on their specific needs. So it may be family unification vouchers to help be able to bring families back together. It may be VASH vouchers, which are vouchers that assist veterans with getting housing. Things like that are critical. So as you hear those things, if you have questions about those things, we will have staff people that are here to talk with you. And I'll be the first to say it is a process, but stick with us and we'll stick with you and we'll try to do the best we can to try to improve your housing situation and to even hopefully put you on a path to where you want to be. It's not for us to tell you what you need to do. It's for you to say where you want to go. And it's up to us to try to help you get there.
So Jeff, just one other note that I want you to lean in on is which the partnerships of the organizations that help, like private developers that are helping to expand the options. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. So with the private developers, we have the community builders that's working with us on the Woodhill project. We've been fortunate to have a lot of good folks through now I'm sitting up here, I got so many partners. Greater Cleveland Food Bank partners with us. The Cleveland Rape Crisis Center partners with us, helps us with women who may have had some challenges with domestic violence and sexual assaults, and they help us provide information to them, but also help provide guidance and direction to help them address their housing concerns and things of that nature. We have partnerships with Tri-C, with Cleveland State. We have partnerships with United Way. I'm listing out a lot, but you can go through and see. And I tell you, you can't do it without those individuals. Partnerships and having the support of your local elected officials and your federal officials. We are not city. We are not county. We are a political subdivision. We receive our funding directly from HUD. The government is necessary for us to be able to explain to our representatives, this is what's going on, and it's important for them to share with us, this is what I'm hearing out here. So one of the best partnerships that we have is with the Congresswoman's office. The people on the video up there earlier, it's so funny because I haven't seen them face to face, but I know all their voices. Because they call our office and say, hey, could you help me with this? Hey, could you help me with that? Hey, what do you guys do here? That's what has to happen. So I ask you all to use all the resources that you have available and take the time to get to know us. And we want to take the time to get to know you as well.
All right. Thank you so much. Lydia. So in the housing counseling space, what are some of the common financial mistakes you see first-time home buyers make, and how can housing counseling services help them avoid these pitfalls?
Wow, that's a lot of good information. So let me go back and say, when it comes to home ownership, whether you're a first-time buyer, second time around, and you're looking to buy a home, the biggest stigma that we see is the fear of talking to a housing counselor to see where you're at. It's not a fear. We're here to help you. We have housing counseling agencies, not just my company, but other ones around here today. And the goal is to prepare you. And what we find out is that it's a lack of education that we find as housing counselors that first-time home buyers either lack or don't feel that they need that. Everyone needs a housing counselor. It's like going to court without an attorney. And it's so important because, number one, the Department of HUD, we're very privileged because we either charge little, and my office knows no money, nothing, is free of charge just to sit down
Free.
and talk with someone
Wait a minute, say that
about
again.
it is free.
It's free.
To sit down and talk with someone about your needs. There's down payment program and funds that you will be lacking and have no knowledge of. That's what housing counselors do. We're a source of information. You know, when we sit down with our clients, whether it's virtual or in person, we prefer the in person, we go over your credit. And in my office, we pull a soft pull. And a soft pull is different from a hard pull, so it's not affecting your score. And we do all three. And it's not a consumer report, it's a mortgage-based report. And we do that just to make sure when you walk into that lender, whoever lender you choose, whatever type of loan you choose and the programs you are, you're educated, you're well-versed. Now you've gotten that stigma and that fear out of buying a home because now you can choose from 1, 2, 3, 4 lenders opposed to being steered in one direction to go to this one bank or this one lender or mortgage company without the education. You know, when we do our classes, we have one next week and we partner with the Cleveland Clinic, is that we talk about different types of funding. You got state funding that you can apply for, like Ohio Housing Finance. You have bank funding. The banks are giving quite a bit of money for down payment assistance. And then you have city county funds, Greater Living Circle, City of Euclid. There's a lot of funding out here, and you can actually layer some of these funds and layer them to allow more down payment. But that's all part of education, sitting into those home buyer workshops, asking the questions. So that's when it comes to home ownership, that's the biggest stigma is the lack of education. So I just encourage, if you're not buying, but you know someone that's buying, put them in a home buyer's workshop, ask the questions, meet with a housing counselor, find out what your score. Are you a 680? Are you 800? Are you a 500? Who are you? Where are you? And that's what we talk about when we talk about housing counseling.
I appreciate that so much. I don't think that I took that step when I first started looking for a home. I think the first step people usually do is contact a real estate broker or a realtor and start looking at houses. So the recommendation you have, get the counseling first, right? And I love the analogy that you use. It would be like going into court without a lawyer. We just don't want to do that. You can do it, but it's not wise, right? And so you talked a little bit about how your agency helps. Can you just talk a little bit more about how people can improve their credit and financial stability to put them in a better position for home ownership?
Absolutely. So credit, that's one of my favorites. So, and I love teaching credit. I love talking about credit. And credit is so important.
Can y'all tell?
So that is my space there. So, you know, when it comes to credit, the most important part is, first of all, when you seek a housing counselor, know your score. That's the first. And just because you have a great score doesn't mean that your credit is always the best of the highest. Because when you go to lending, as my partner HUD was talking about, the debt to income ratio, how much you can qualify for may not be enough to cover if you don't have certain debts down.
Okay, break it down like I'm 5. Debt to income ratio. What are you saying? Like if I have $1,000 in my income, what are you saying?
So if you make, say you make $1,000 a month in your income and you have $400 in bills. So just typically you'll say, oh, I have $600, but that's not the true score when it comes to lending. Lenders calculate what they call debt to income ratio. They take your housing and they'll times by either 28 on the front end, 32 or 38 on the back end, depending on the bank. You take that gross and you'll times it by 28 and you back out your debts. That's how much of a house you can afford. So sometimes when we meet, and that may be $1,000, and say your debt to income comes to maybe a $400 mortgage note. We know that in the city of Cleveland, outside of Cleveland, that's not affordable. Then what we would do is say, how can you either increase your income or maybe lower your debt? But then let's take a look at your budget, because you may not have enough to cover to pay the debt down. That's what we do. We need to bring your debt down enough to qualify for the house that you're looking to buy. And we go by, even though the banks go by gross, housing counselors, we go by your net. We look at your take-home income because we also want to know what you're really bringing home. We don't ever want to put you in a situation where you can't afford the home you're buying just because you really, really want this home. We say, back up, slow down. There's a real estate market will be forever, but we want to make sure that you're sustainable and that you're staying in your property. So credit and understanding how to get to that by either lowering your debt. You may have to work an extra job and say, hey, I'm going to save my money for 6 months and work this extra job for down payment pay down my debt, and let's kind of meet back around and let's see what that score looks like and what that debt looks like. So it's not always score, it's debt too.
So running up my credit cards is a problem?
Absolutely.
Oh,
so
man.
y'all know Christmas is coming around, the holiday season coming around. So if you're looking to buy, listen, don't do that. Don't go spending your money. Find other ways. I tell folks that, if you have the credit card that does the income or that does extra money on the side, put that to the side. That you have the, I guess you have the credits in your credit card.
I mean,
But you got to bring them debts down. You have to make sure you covered enough. And also putting a little bit aside a month can help you. My brother used to teach me one thing. I used to, every time I get a paycheck, I would do like a $25 gift card. I've been doing this since I've been like 18, 19. Alicia, my sister, she remembers. Put about a $25 gift card, and I just keep buying it every time I get a paycheck. So by the time Christmas time comes, guess what? You use all your money. I mean, all your money you've saved. Now you're able to buy the gifts for your family without digging into your savings and putting yourself in debt during the holiday season. So you got to start thinking a different way when it comes to credit and creative ways to be able to save your money.
Noted. I thought my good credit could get me everything, y'all. I got my credit cards. Lydia's saying no. Keep the credit cards down and save. That is the key. All right. So, in all seriousness, Chanel, our anniversary guest, we're gonna leave you with the last remarks. I have a couple questions for you, but I'll start with this one. How do lenders like KeyBank help home buyers, especially those in low to moderate income brackets, access the financial resources they need for home ownership?
Thank you for the question, Congresswoman. And I'm actually going to start with what Lydia said about fear and stigma. Because as a banker, I think it's responsible for us to talk about the historic nature between the relationship between financial institutions and communities of color. And what I've been doing at the bank is intentionally focusing on how can I mobilize capital to address those issues. And so for us, it starts with our products and services, but it also starts with building trust and being in community and working with community. The only way that we're going to be able to move our community forward is if we have that trust and empower our community and our residents to have the knowledge and the tools in their hands to do that. So I'll talk about a few things here of what we're doing at KeyBank. One happened this week, which is I'm really excited about. People may not know, but KeyBank is the #2 affordable housing lender in the country. And because, thank you. And because of the leadership.
Because of you.
No.
Okay, but okay.
Because of leadership of Congress, giving the city of Cleveland opportunity for ARPA dollars, $511 million. We worked with Mayor Bibb and City Council this week to launch a $100 million affordable housing fund that's focused on the city of Cleveland. And I really mean the city. I like to say I'm a city of Cleveland isolationist because I definitely believe we need to bring people back to the community. But this fund is seeded by $18 million from the city, a $20 million commitment from KeyBank, and then we're going to go out and raise $62 million from other banks because we believe Cleveland matters and that they also need to invest in Cleveland alongside KeyBank. The goal of the fund is to create almost 3,000 housing units, 100 single-family housing units, but also mixed-use development. My son, he goes to Shaker Heights High School, and when I drop him off at school and I'm coming back home, I'm going down Woodland, but when I turn on Buckeye and I'm passing Edwin's, I see so many vacant buildings that have first-floor retail, but housing on the opportunity. And I believe that if we're going to bring Cleveland back, and I also believe that people don't just buy homes, they buy neighborhoods. And so we need to focus on mixed-use development, on retail, and make our neighborhoods, all of our neighborhoods, neighborhoods of choice. So that's what we're doing on the affordable housing space, using another part of the bank to invest. But when you look at mortgages, Lydia also mentioned a lot of banks are offering down payment assistance. And so in the last few years, KeyBank has launched not one, not two, but 3 special purpose credit programs. So banks can create these programs where we are allowed to target investments for communities who have been historically divested in. And so we've created these special purpose credit programs. One provides a $5,000 closing cost credit to people who are purchasing homes in low to moderate income and majority minority communities. That's pretty much all of Cleveland, all of the East Side. That's a $5,000 credit. We also have another program where there's a 3% rate buy down. If you're already a homeowner, if you want to handle some of that credit card debt or you want to fix your porch or the roof on your home, we have another program that does that. The other program that we have, and I know the Cuyahoga County Treasurer was here. I don't know if he's still here, but because of our deposit contract with Cuyahoga County, we have what's called a link deposit program, where we are able to offer almost 2% interest loan, I think 1.4 interest loan called the Heritage Loan for home repair. Pretty sure Lydia knows all about the Heritage Loan. And our loan officer, Raul, is here, and so he'll be in the breakout session to talk about that. But those are the products, right? But we also have to have the right people that are working at the bank that look like the community we serve. And so across our markets, we've hired almost 25 community development loan officers that are from the community and a part of the community to really build on that trust. And we've also focused on how do we increase our marketing and be out in community. I've probably been in every church basement in the city of Cleveland. I've been at Shiloh, been at South Euclid United Church of Christ, just really making to build that bridge between the community. We've also done pop-up banking clinics at Third Space Action Lab. And so KeyBank, we are the hometown bank. And I want our community to build that trust, to be able to come into the four walls of the branch, but also want us to be able to come out of the four walls of the branch and work in partnership. So products, services, marketing, and leveraging all different parts of the bank to really drive and mobilize capital into the communities that have been historically divested in.
And so when we talk about those communities that have been historically disinvestment, that we haven't seen the resources come, just for, I know you said all of Cleveland, predominantly the east side, but just go lean in, like Mount Pleasant, Buckeye, like where are we talking about?
Yeah, so Mount Pleasant, Buckeye, Huff. So for example, I'll tell Huff, we've worked with Famicos Foundation, which is a local community development corporation. We are building 40 new single-family lease-to-own homes in that neighborhood right now. 40. This
starting. Do we know where it's starting? Starting at what price? Do we know?
I don't have the price right now.
Okay,
but
I'm trying to get another house.
It's lease
too,
to
when I get my
purchase. So
credit back.
it's lease to purchase. So it's a path to home ownership.
Love
so
it.
you may not be comfortable yet, but you can get into a brand new home, work, lease that home for 15 years. At the end of 15 years, hopefully purchase that home. And so, but as people are in that home and they're leasing that home, that's why it's important for us to partner with NID and other housing counseling agencies so people feel comfortable at that end of the 15 years to purchase those homes.
So it's getting people established. You're helping people who might not just be ready to purchase, but again, the things that you talked about, saving the money, building the savings to get the down payment and all of those things. The leasing payments, do they go towards the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, all those things. And then another thing that I know we're talking about home ownership, but sustaining home ownership. We bought our house 6 years ago, a year before we got married. I had bumblebees in the wall, y'all.
Oh, no.
And so, like, how do you prepare an emergency? Who do you call to come get the bees out of the wall? And so it's not about the down payment assistance. It's making sure that people are in the situation where they can stay in the home.
Maintain.
And also transfer your wealth to your second generation. Lydia and I talked about that a minute ago. Like my parents, they still own their parents' home. So we own those homes. And so what is to happen to our house if something was to happen to my husband and I? We want to make sure that it goes to our kids. And so we got to think about the full cycle of home ownership, getting in the home, sustaining the home, but also transferring that home to generations to come as a way to build wealth.
Excellent. All right. So as we wrap up, I just want to thank you all. I love you for sharing all of your expertise. I'm just going to ask you one question and a 1-minute response. What is one key takeaway or piece of advice you want our attendees to leave with today as they look to secure their housing future? And do you want to start and we go left to right, my left to right?
Don't let fear deter you from pursuing your dream of home ownership. Don't let the historic nature of what's happening to our communities prevent you from taking that step to build wealth for you and your family and providing a safe and stable home for generations to come. All of us are here to help you, from the federal government, local government, realtors, housing counseling agencies. There's more than enough information out there to get you to where you want to be in your dream of homeownership.
Thank you. Jay?
Just piggybacking and adding on to what she just said, don't let others define what you want and you need. Figure it out for yourself and then go and talk to people. Sometimes we feel like we're trying to do something that we don't necessarily need to rely on anyone. If you didn't get anything else out of this conversation today, you should know that there are a lot of different entities, a lot of different groups that can help you. And sometimes just sitting down with someone and talking about it may shift your focus and put you on a path to get you something that you didn't even think was achievable. Because there's money out there, there's opportunities out there. You just got to find it. And sometimes it may be something as simple as, oh, I didn't know that I was eligible for this. And someone could sit there and say, oh, well, you know, I'm looking at this list. You did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. Did you know you done 5 of the 6 things that you need to be able to be eligible for this program? That's what you need to do. Have those conversations.
Thank you. Ms. Pope?
Don't be afraid to get help. Know your credit score. And NID, we're doing them free today. If you wanted to know what your score is, all 3 bureaus.
Free?
Don't be afraid.
You
Don't
got
be
all the
afraid.
free stuff.
Free stuff.
All right. Okay. Mr. Laviano?
You kind of stole my thunder there. Walk away with free, right? There is free help here for people that care. And the credit score is important, and getting prepared. Preparation for home ownership is the way for you to be successful. And there's a lot of free resources out there for you to do this. And I want to say one more thing. Just because you made mistakes in the past does not mean you can't get yourself out of those mistakes. There are pathways out of there, and we all have resources, plus all of our stakeholders have resources to get you to where you need to be. We just all got to, there are success stories, and don't let what you hear from other people not be a hindrance to you. Take control of your situation, use these free resources. We have a lot of people that can help you out there, and we'll get you to the right resources so you can be successful.
Thank you. And I just want to close, before we close, I want to take a moment to sincerely thank our incredible panelists for being here today. Can we give them another round of applause for sharing their insights and expertise? Listen, the contributions that you have made to this conversation are invaluable, and I know that our attendees are going to leave with a wealth of knowledge and resources all free to you today, to guide you through your housing journey. So we truly appreciate the time that you have taken to be a part of this panel, and we thank you all for being a part of this event. We're going to gather for a picture, and then you'll hear closing remarks from Ms. Butler after that, after we take our photo. All right, so we'll take a photo.